Welcome and welcome back, everybody, to the OK Grognard Show. Today is Sunday, December 8th, 2024, 10 a.m. Central in beautiful Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. On this show, doing an extra show just because I had some time and I wanted to do it, and there were a couple things I wanted to get in. Today, we're going to look at John Bellairs' The Face in the Frost. Originally published in 1969. Now, of course, the copy I have, the green screen really messes with it, doesn't it, is from 1978. It's the Ace edition. So, not the original. Boom, 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 boom. You can see also that the cover art, Carl Lundgren, and then there's some, 69, John Bellairs, Macmillan Publishing, first Ace printing, November 1978. So what's this story here? This is a book that was included in the Dungeon Master Guide from first edition, Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, in the Appendix N inspirational reading section. So we're doing a little look-see at it. We've looked at a few other things here, and we're going to continue to do that because I think inspirational reading is good for Dungeon Masters, and this is some of that. There's the cover. A little easier to see in that image than when I hold it up as a to the camera with the green screen running. In any event, 1978, 1969, it's a one-off. He wound up doing a lot of other things, but let's take a look at the wiki page for the actual book and see what it says here. It's a short fantasy novel by American author John Bellairs in 1969. Unlike most of his later works, the book is meant for adult readers and me. It centers on two accomplished wizards, Prospero, and not the one you're thinking of, the Shakespearean one, and Roger Bacon, also not the one, none of the Bacons, tracking down the source of a magical evil. The subject matter prompted noted science fiction author and fantasy author Ursula K. Le Guin to say of the novel, The Face in the Frost takes us into pure nightmare before we know it, and out the other side. The novel was listed in the recommended reading list. Although being listed, it was not an influence on the formation of the game. In a review of the book by Gygax and Dragon Magazine, issue 22, he states, "As I have not read the book until recently, there is likewise no question of it influencing the game. Nonetheless, The Face in the Frost could have been a prime mover of the underlying spirit of D&D. I think it's worth noting that quite often the books that influence our personal setting and game creation are not necessarily the ones that other DMs and authors have read. As I've often said, history, I think, is one of your best inspirations, and fiction is good. It helps you to get in a mindset for running games like Dungeons and Dragons, but you got to be careful not to allow your games to become too derivative of someone else's fiction. Being derivative of history might, if you don't file off the serial numbers and wipe off the fingerprints pretty carefully, could be seen as predictable, but generally speaking, you're only going to be called derivative if you're taking from other writers of fiction and fantasy and science fantasy and all of the things that are in there. So allow it to influence your style and your attitude, but don't lift things directly for your games. I mean, you can, but be prepared for people to recognize it and think it's, a bit derivative. So the story opens with Prospero at home on a late summer day when he feels particularly uneasy. In the evening, he receives an unexpected visit from his friend Roger Bacon. The two discuss unusual phenomena that have transpired lately, especially those concerning a mysterious book for which Roger has been searching England. The following morning, the two wizards find Prospero's home besieged by agents of some other wizard who seems to have ill designs for them. I won't read any further because we can go on like that all day, but let's just say that the critical reception was very good. Lynn Carter praised it as one of the 3 best fantasy novels to be published since The Lord of the Rings. Well, see, that's something I'm going to have to figure out because now I don't want to know the other 2, right? We'll get back to that at some point. Le Guin again and other authors are all praising it at the time and since then. There were some further adventures that were planned. Note that there was an idea of a sequel, but because the young adult novels that Bellairs was writing were so popular and were pressed for from his publisher, and of course was making good money off them, as writers need to eat, he focused mostly on his young adult novel series and kind of left the chance of that sequel languishing. Although let's also remember, he was not an older fellow when he died. He died in 1991 at just 53 years of age. So he may have well thought that he had plenty of time left to write a sequel to The Face in the Frost. You can see that he had this other gothic mystery novels for children with these characters. Most of his books were illustrated by Edward Gorey. This 1978 version is not, although there are nice illustrations in it from front to back. So if you get a 1969 Macmillan original, it may well have gory illustrations in it, although that might also just be in those young adult ones. So don't take my word for it. In fact, let me know in the comments if you know one way or another. I thought there was another interesting little side note here, in that the colleges attended by, got his BA from University of Notre Dame, his Master of Arts from the University of Chicago, so spent a lot of time in the Midwest, and also taught in the area. Note, he did teach College of St. Teresa, but also Shimer College. But that was when Shimer College was on the south side of Chicago. And there's an interesting connection there. For me, who grew up in Waukegan in the late 60s and through the 70s, in that Shimer almost went bankrupt. And then crazy, in 1978, just on the brink of bankruptcy, where is that? During the Christmas break in 1978, the faculty and 62 students borrowed trucks and moved the college into 2 rundown homes in Waukegan, Illinois, a suburb north of Chicago. Shimer emerged from bankruptcy in 80. During the next 25 years, the college purchased 12 surrounding homes in the former YMCA or YWCA facility at Genesee and Franklin. to form a makeshift campus and slowly progress toward financial stability. You know, it was interesting because in the late 70s and early 80s, Shimer College being in two rundown homes in Waukegan, but being an actual college that people had heard of and knew that some interesting individuals taught or graduated from, it was a curious thing. Lynn Cheney, the wife of former Vice President Dick Cheney and mother of Liz Cheney, was a big proponent. In 1991, Shimer received a grant from the National Endowment for the Humanities with the help of NEH chair and core curriculum advocate Lynn Cheney. The grant revitalized the school's fundraising, helping it raise $2 million. And for a school that was basically in a couple of old mansions along Sheridan Road in Waukegan, is pretty interesting that's a connection, and that he taught there. It was when he was over in around that same time, 67, 68, and he was over in England doing some personal research over there. It was when he wrote The Face in the Frost, according to what I've read here and elsewhere. So in any event, you're not going to find any direct connections, much like with Paul Anderson's Three Hearts and Three Dragons, where you get gnomes and regenerating trolls. But you will find this as an inspirational, fun read, according to all sources. So check it out if you want to check it out. If you don't, well, I pity you. Oh, no, I don't. So enjoy, and we'll call this one in the bag for an extra Sunday bonus one. Don't forget, on the 18th, we're shutting down for the winter hiatus. So that'll be the last show of the year. I'm going to do one this Wednesday, and then the following Wednesday will be the 18th. I may squeeze something in next weekend, too. We'll see. See what kind of stuff I have time for. Let's just say that we've been looking at John Bellairs' The Face in the Frost from 1969 here on the OK Grognard Show. That's a Appendix N inclusion in the first edition Advanced Dungeons & Dragons Dungeon Master's Guide, Appendix N. The show streams live on Twitch each Wednesday at 10 a.m. Central. Then it's archived on YouTube. Like, subscribe, follow, comment, thumbs up, all of that fun stuff for me. It'd be appreciated. Thanks to our Patreon supporters. Links are provided in the show notes. For Tom Tullis of Fat Dragon Games, Carlos Lysing of Castle Entertainment. See, we could have done better here. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to back that off. Just 1 second. See if I can fix something on the fly here. Is that... Yeah, we're doing an extra show here anyway, so why don't we just take a minute to see? Nah, I guess I can't do it now. All right, we'll catch it for next week. Tom Tullis of Fat Dragon Games, Carlos Lysing of Castle Entertainment, Heath Farndon of the Andy and D20, Dave O'Brien, Heidi, and Eric Gygax Garland of Gaxland, Vince Rakusa, a.k.a. the Vince himself, unauthorized user, and as always, Shane Bradley, DM Extraordinaire. This has been the OK Grognard Show from beautiful Lake Geneva, Wisconsin, on a Sunday instead of a Wednesday this time. Thanks very much, and bye-bye.